All right, you guys. Well, welcome back to another training here inside of the Automation Academy to help you achieve a better work-life balance as a childcare owner or director. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube and you are not a part of the Childcare Business Executive Automation Academy, be sure that you check out the links in the description box on how you can join and start learning how to automate your childcare business to ensure a better balance between work and life. Also, you guys, be sure that you give this video a thumbs up. And if you are new, welcome. My name is Ashley Benz of ashleybenz.com. I am the founder and creator of Childcare Business Executive Tools, where I help you start or automate your childcare business. So today, I am super excited to introduce to you a very special guest, Elizabeth Grace Saunders. And so Elizabeth is, hang on just a second, I'm going to go and read her bio, you guys. So here we go. Elizabeth Grace Saunders is the founder and CEO of Real Life E, a time management coaching company that empowers individuals who feel guilty, overwhelmed, and frustrated to feel peaceful, confident, and accomplished. She was named one of the world's top 30 time management professionals in 2018, 2019, and this crazy year 2020 that we're in. McGraw-Hill published her first book, The 3 Secrets of Effective Time Investment, How to Achieve More Success with Less Stress. Harvard Business Review published her second book, How to Invest Your Time Like Money. Faith Words published her third book, Divine Time Management. Elizabeth contributes to Harvard Business Review and Fast Company and has appeared on CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking your time out and being with us today.
My pleasure. Very happy to be here.
Awesome. So, all right. So let's talk about time management and how to literally stop overwhelming ourselves with so much to do. And so you guys, listen, if you do not have Elizabeth's book, you have to go get it. And so I just kind of want to start off our conversation with something that was just really profound for me in your book, Elizabeth. And so it's on page 19. It says, achievements and getting things done are not bad in themselves, but it's problematic when you identify your self-worth and what you accomplish each day. When your worth becomes about your achievements, you feel great when you do great and awful when you fail. Instead of receiving God's unconditional love, you turn life into a performance. Your identity should be in the fact that you're a child of God through accepting what Jesus accomplished in his life, death, and resurrection. His crowning achievement is enough. And so, Elizabeth, I know we were talking a little bit here before we actually started to record, but I was just explaining to Elizabeth, you guys, that this was something that was really profound to me. And the fact that, I think even for myself, I would go through dealing with my time and just everything I had to do for the day in the form of a performance. And so I wasn't really being true to myself. So Elizabeth, can you just kind of speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So and the book she's referring to is Divine Time Management. It's my third book, baby. And probably the best way to think about it is if we visualize what it feels like when we're living from a place of accepting our true identity and that we're unconditionally loved versus whether it's about performance. So if we're in that place of just being unconditionally loved, accepting what Jesus did for us, accepting we're just enough, we're like small children. So you just even think like a baby that's just born. That baby did not do a thing to earn anything. It can't do anything. Right before that baby was born, it was a total stranger to you. Like it hadn't done anything, it hadn't earned anything. And yet it was already totally and completely worthy of unconditional love and support. And that worthiness is kind of like something deep inside, like at a core level where you just sit back and you just rest in it. And that doesn't mean that you don't do things, you don't get things done, but it's this deep sense, no, right here, right now, I'm enough. Like, I love it when I get things done. It feels good. It's great. It doesn't mean I don't wash the dishes or, answer email or whatever, but that's not what makes me okay. I'm okay in me and in my core identity. Versus if we're doing things based off of performance and kind of this performance for worth or performance for love, it's kind of like your core doesn't have a core. You're very ephemeral, like fluid. There's not this deep sense of rest and solidness. So instead you're like chasing after things. So like, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. Like, and it's always, it's outside of you. It's away from you. It's something you're running after, and you're only as good as like your previous day's performance, instead of, nope, no matter what, whether I do great or not, I'm still worthy and I'm still enough. And so again, the things you do on the outside won't necessarily look that different, but how it feels on the inside will feel different, because you'll either have that grounded sense of I'm worthy, I'm enough right here, right now, or you'll always have that sense of like grasping and searching for that sense of worth.
Yeah, wow, that, yeah, because, so like, would an example of that be like, so I'm going to use myself. So
Yeah.
I am a type A personality. So if I, I have a routine in the morning. If I don't get up and I don't make my bed, or I don't do my little routine, then yeah, I feel like, okay, my day's not going to go right. It's just not, it just kind of like throws off everything. Instead of, so you're saying like, instead of kind of having that feeling, just to be okay with that, to be okay
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the bed not being made, the this and that not happening,
yeah.
and just kind of understanding and resting in God to know that um, He has control of my day, even if the bed's not made for the day.
Right, right. And it's not that those routines are wrong or bad. Like you
Yeah.
can, of course, do the routines, and it feels good to make your bed. I like to make my bed too.
Yeah.
Um, but it's taking away that assumption that, oh, the day's going to be bad, instead of being like, you know what? I can flow in God's grace. So maybe I didn't get up on time. Maybe the routine didn't go exactly according to plan, but God's big enough. That's enough. He has the grace for me for today to be a great day. Maybe like you're running late, but maybe the person that you're supposed to meet, they're running late too. Or maybe you're not as efficient with one thing, but God works it out that He gives you some time somewhere else. So it's that balance between, we are intentional, we have routines, we have plans, we have focus, but our reliance, like our trust, is
Right.
not in our routines. Our trust is in the Lord to be working things out.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know one problem that, we face in this industry, in the childcare business industry, those that are running preschool programs and working with children and families, is that there is always something to do. It always
Right.
feels like, there's just so much. I mean, between, working with your families and your parents, and then your children, the kids, your students, and then your staff. So what do you see is the maybe one mistake people make in trying to manage their time effectively?
Right. So in regards to that feeling of like there's always like something more to do, the truth is that's true no matter what job you have. Like even if you didn't have a job, there's always something more. Like you could redecorate something, you could paint something. There's always something more you could do. And I think especially we have to be conscious that like so much more is coming at us than used to. Even so, I've been doing time management coaching for 11 and a half years. And even when I started out in coaching, we didn't have smartphones in the way we have now. We didn't have all these apps. We didn't have a lot of even like the different social media platforms or Slack or any of those things that are now part of life, like coming at us from all directions, like, oh, there's something more you could read, or something more you could respond to, or some other way you could be better. So first of all, we just have to acknowledge there's always going to be more to do, and that's going to be true your whole life. And I don't mean that in a discouraging way, but I actually mean that in a freeing way, because it's a lie that if I just worked harder, if I just planned more, if I just slept less, if I just was more efficient, I'll be able to do everything all the time. That's just not true. Um, so what I recommend in terms of having a healthy balance and a healthy sense of boundaries is that you figure out what is appropriate for you in terms of the hours you're going to work. And I can't say what that is for you. Everyone's different. So you have to figure out though, for my life, for my family, for my situation, for my business, what is appropriate. When do I start? When do I stop? Do I work again at night? Do I work on the weekends?
Yeah.
Really thinking that through. then once you have your budget, that basically is your time budget of what you can spend, then you need to decide among all the different activities you could do for your childcare business, what is most essential, what is most important. So what are, of course, there's so many business development activities you could do, but what's the most important business development activity? Yes, there's so much you can do with your staff, but like, what is most important? Decide on the most important things, get those done first within those timeframes you have. And then if you have extra time, you can do some of the extras, but that might just look maybe one extra goal a month where you're like, okay, that's one thing I'm going to improve the system or take to the next level. It's probably not going to look like 20 extra things you do every month to
Yeah.
improve everything, because you don't have that capacity. And so really narrowing that down is really important. And then if you find even when you're doing just the basics, you're still struggling with those hours, then you need to think through, can I delegate to someone else? Can I get help? Can I be more efficient? Can I work with someone, like you, who can help me figure out better systems, or someone like me that just helps people with general time management? You can figure that out. But a lot of times it's just prioritizing down and saying, just because I could do all these different things doesn't mean I should. And it's okay
Mhm.
for me to decide what is enough.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Just because I could doesn't mean that I should be doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I know even for myself personally, just during this whole crazy year that we've been having this
Mhm.
year,
Yeah.
yeah, I was really forced. I have a 5-year-old, and so within a 24-hour notice, we were told that schools are out, and now you have to become a homeschool teacher or whatever the case is there. So luckily for me, because I've had experience in the early childhood education field, that's, I can deal with that. However, um, I'm running a business as well.
Right.
So it was really hard for me to understand that I have to shave back. And
Right.
so understanding that like you said, that the time budget, that, hey, I don't have as much time as I used to, and so I have to shave back. And it was actually refreshing. It was
Mhm.
really refreshing to say, you know what, this is great that I just have this one thing on my business list to do for the day, and then
Mhm.
I'm done. I can go, do my mom and wife roles and making sure those things are taken care of. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that kind of leads into my next question is, how do you stop? How do you
Right.
actually get to a place where you are looking at your time budget, you're looking at, realistically, you're looking at those things, and then you are just saying, okay, you know what, because I know for me, I'm not going to say it was difficult, but it was very challenging to actually just slow my body down and just say,
Right.
it's okay. So how do you stop?
Yeah, so it can be very challenging. And before I did time management coaching, I ran a different business. So I actually was in magazine journalism to start. So I had started a business in 2005 where I did writing, editing, and photo styling for home decorating magazines.
Oh,
Um, and when I had that business, I actually didn't have good work-life balance. I had fallen into doing that kind of work on my own. I'd worked in the magazine journalism industry, but didn't expect to start a business. I was just excited I had work. I was excited people were paying me. I was just like, ah! And I would work at night. I'd work on the weekends. Like I never had a time when I felt like I could stop working without feeling guilty.
yeah.
And what really happened for me, and what helped with that shift in terms of like stopping and saying this is enough, is in 2007 I was just out on a walk and I realized, you know what, this doesn't feel like success to me. Like I don't care if I'm making good money, working with great clients, if literally I cannot stop working without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't feel like success. And so I had to figure out for myself, just like I was the advice I was giving before, what was enough in terms of my hours. And when I first started to limit things like stop working at a certain time at night or stop working after a certain number of hours in the week, I felt like I was having withdrawal symptoms. Like it was anxiety
Yeah.
producing. I'd be like,
Yeah.
step away from the computer, step away from the computer. And you're like,
Yeah.
but it's basically like you have to put yourself on a detox. So that can look like keeping track of your hours and then just stopping at a certain time. could be making commitment with your family or with friends or some other kind of commitment where you need to be somewhere at a certain time. So if you don't stop, they'll know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like positive peer pressure.
Yeah.
And what I found is that a lot of times there's that anxiety when you first are trying to stop, but then once you step away and you go out on that walk, or you start making dinner for your family, or you get together with a friend, you're okay and it's not that
Yeah.
big a deal. So it's more like a lie that,
It is.
oh, it's going to be terrible if you stop working. Once you actually stop, usually you're like, oh, no, I'm totally fine. And if you're not fine, well, then that's where you need to set more priorities, say no, plan better so that you really are
Right.
getting the things done you need to do during the day.
Yeah, yeah. I know one of the things I always tell you guys is that, you know, God in Genesis, you know, he on the seventh day he rested, and
Right.
I always say that it's not. I don't. Obviously, he doesn't need the rest, but I feel like it was there to set an example for our to us. You know that you will have to stop and rest and rejuvenate yourself, and you know,
Yeah.
and when you do that, um, everything's going to be okay. It's
Yeah.
the world is not going to end. Your business is not going to just
Right.
crumble to pieces
Right.
just because you
Right.
take some time off or take off early or things like that.
Right. Well, and that really goes back to like in divine time management, the whole first section is on trusting God at the center of our time management. And that when we take that rest, we're showing we trust. So just like, I give to my church, and when I give to my church, when I tithe, um, that's me saying, God, I trust you and I'm grateful. Like you gave me everything I have, and I'm so grateful to be able to give back to you
Right.
from what you've given me. And again, we don't need to get legalistic about whether people are into tithes or not. I
Right.
tithe, but
Yeah.
you guys, you do you.
Yeah.
But the idea is that we're saying, I trust you, God, not like I'm gonna take care of myself and there I'm not gonna give anyone a penny because I need it all. So the same thing is with our time when we take a Sabbath rest, when we take time off at night, when we give ourselves permission to invest in God, to invest in family, to invest in friends or health, we're saying, God, I trust you. Like you
Mhm.
really have what it takes. And it's not because of my efforts that my child care center is successful. It's because the Lord has prospered me.
Right.
And it puts us in our place versus when we work ourselves day and night all the time, don't sleep, go crazy. We're saying like we are more important than God, and it's nothing's going to happen unless we do it.
Right.
And it's really stressful way to live because
Yes,
that's not how we were created to be.
that's so true. Yeah, yeah, that is so, so true. So, okay, I want to ask you this question because there is this, there's books, you'll see it out there about a 4-hour work day.
Yeah.
Um, is there such thing as a 4-hour work day?
Right.
Is a better work-life balance actually possible?
Right, right. Well, yeah, the 4-hour workday, or I know with Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week was
Work
like
week,
super
yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
or super popular, I should say, not
Yeah.
super possible, super popular. And I've read that book. It actually came out around the time I was first starting my time management coaching, so it was something I was very curious about, and had the opportunity to meet Tim Ferriss.
Oh, cool.
And you know, to put that in context, so for those who aren't familiar with the book, it's the 4-hour work week, and his concept was that you would build scalable businesses that were primarily based on like products that you sold online, and that you would automate them in such a way or get help in such a way that you'd only need to work 4 hours a week to run them.
Right. Right.
So that's the concept. A few thoughts there. One, that's really hard to do. So like to run a business at all is super hard to do. I feel very fortunate. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 15 years and done that successfully, but I definitely work more than 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even like that kind of business. Like I don't really enjoy like lots of like figuring out technology with
Right. Right.
selling products. So first of all, we just want to put it in context. Like if you're someone that does enjoy like selling things in that way and brokering those deals and doing that
Mhm.
tech, like maybe you can work 4 hours a week. It could be possible. a lot of us don't necessarily like that kind of work. Like we actually
Right.
do like working with people. I love doing coaching, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you work with people too, and if people run a childcare center, like you probably like interacting with your
Yeah.
staff, and that's so unless you get to more or less the investor level in your childcare center and delegate out all the management responsibilities, you're going to be working more than 4 hours a week. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
just kind of a thing of the basis. That being said, like the concept of having a better balance, and what I do appreciate about his work is that it just really challenged
Yeah.
people to say, well, what kind of life do you want to create? So, for example, maybe you can't work 4 hours a week, but perhaps you can do a 4 hour day certain days. Maybe
Right.
Fridays you work a half day, or maybe you take Wednesdays off and you delegate to your staff to be in charge those days, and you have that day for errands or whatever you need to do. Um, with a lot of people having to homeschool their kids because there's such a huge variation in the United States. So, in most of the rest of the world, the kids are back to school, but in the United
Right.
States, there's everything from some kids all the way back to school, some kids
Yeah.
all remote and kind of merging. Um, I would say reimagine what this looks like for you. Like maybe you do need to work half days, or maybe you need to
Right.
start late where you homeschool your kids from 8 to 11 or something like that, and then you're in the childcare center from noon to 6.
Right.
So really think through what it is that you want, what could be possible, and then try it out. And I'll like even share from my own experience. When I was writing Divine Time Management, the book that you have with you,
Hmm.
I decided to try out having Wednesdays as a book writing day. So a no coaching call day and a day when I could just write my book.
Right.
And I'd written 2 other books before, but I'd never given myself that luxury of a full day of writing. And I did it and I loved it. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that bad. Like some part of me was like, oh my gosh, if I can't schedule on Wednesdays, people will be
Yeah.
like, why aren't you available? But it's not a big deal. I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for coaching calls.
Right.
I work Wednesday, but now, even though I'm not writing a book, I use that as a day for writing articles, writing newsletters, doing more like networking meetings, that sort of thing. And if I had never just given myself permission to say, I'm not doing coaching calls on Wednesday, I would never have had that opportunity. And so
Right. Right.
I would say 4 hour work week, very unlikely for most of us in most businesses. Having the opportunity to work less and have a lifestyle that works for you, I think really good idea, and something that we all should be trying to achieve. And particularly if you're the owner of your business, you definitely should try to do that because you're the boss. If you hate your
Yeah.
schedule, it's your own fault. Like
Yeah.
there's no one
Yeah.
to blame but you.
Exactly. I agree with that. Yes, yes. Because I mean, it's always, when I'm working with owners, it's like, you are the designer of this. And so I know you're talking about the magazine that you would write for. I love HGTV that, I can sit and watch Chip and Joanna come up with all these great things. And but I thought about that. I'm like, wow, Ashley, well, you can do the same thing in your business and just
Yeah,
design, your work week, your schedule, your calendar, the way that you want to do that.
right.
And I know that most people get into running their own business. I mean, they do have a passion for serving others, but one of those things, if we're all honest, is because we want that flexibility. So
Right.
a lot of that comes from just designing and being creative, which I think is kind of cool. It's a cool place to be in. So
Exactly. And one other tip I would say along with that is people like the flexibility, which is good, but I think also we just want to do flexibility with boundaries. So like
yeah,
how I wasn't doing things right before I was a time management coach is I would mush everything together too much. So like I'd be doing personal errands during the day, then I'd end up working at like 10 o'clock at night. So
yeah,
I do think like decide when your work hours are, do those so then you can enjoy your evenings or your weekends or whatever time you want off without guilt versus like if you make everything mushy then you feel badly and then you end up working really late. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's a really good tip. Yeah. Okay, so oops. Another question that I do want to ask, and then we'll just be wrapping it up here. But what is your thoughts on actually using a calendar system and actually putting things down, having a specific day and time that you're going to get something done?
Yes, so I think it's a really, really good idea to use your calendar for almost everything. So particularly like if you're managing a childcare center, you're going to have the regular routine things you have for your staff, but then you're also going to have parents that want things and special things with children, as well as just things that need to get done for your business. And the worst thing you can do is try to hold things in your head because that will drive you crazy. You're
Yeah.
going to forget a lot of things, and it's going to be embarrassing when you see a parent and you're like, I knew I was supposed to do something for you and I have
Right.
no idea what it was. So like we want to try to like avoid those kind of situations. So what I recommend is that you use your calendar religiously. So have on there like any meetings that you make with people, you can have those on your calendar. For example, if you have like a staff meeting that's a recurring meeting, you can have that on there. Special meetings that need to happen, have those on your calendar. And you can also put in prep time. So for example, if you know you have a staff meeting every Monday morning and you'd like to prep for that Friday afternoon, you can have that as a recurring event on your calendar. Then when you have specific things to work on, so maybe it's payroll, maybe it's a business development item that you're working on, maybe it's some legal paperwork you have to do, whatever it is, I recommend that you take some time and put it in your calendar to have focused work when you can be in your office or
Mm.
your home workspace or wherever you are, and you can really decide this is the thing I'm going to do now.
Right.
There's a couple of reasons for this. One is it helps you to prioritize it to say this is something that I will get done this week and is essential for this week. A second reason is that if you're in a childcare center and there's a ton of different people and things going on, it's really easy to just wander around, talk to people, connect with the
Yeah.
staff, which is good. Like you definitely want to do that at certain times. But if you never give yourself that focused work time as a leader in your organization, you're going to end up doing that at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night or
Yeah.
4 in the morning, and you'll be so tired and kind of frankly annoyed. So take a few hours during the day and just let it be that time when you do some of that deep work, some of those things that require more focus. People are going to be just fine without you talking to them all the time. If they need to
Right.
reach you, they know where to find you. Do that during the day so then that does free you up to have that time later in the evening or on the weekends or early in the morning. Do other things you want to do that don't have anything to do with work.
Right. Right. Okay. One more question, and then
Yeah, go
questions
for it.
keep. One more question. Um, so how do you deal with pop-ups? Because I know that this is something that I dealt with when I ran my child care center.
Yeah,
You know, I had my schedule, I had
yep,
my day planned out, and then all of a sudden somebody's knocking on my door.
right,
There's
right,
just these
right,
pop-ups
right,
in the day, and it just
right.
completely derailed me.
Right, right. So I do recommend having some margin. So even as you plan your day, I would say probably leave like 1 to 2 hours. That's flex time. And so then if it's like, okay, like someone knocks on your door earlier in the day and it is truly an emergency, then you can just shift and move what you had planned for that time to a little later in the day. So
Right.
that's what I would say. Like
So,
probably plan your schedule about 80%. Um, and then that gives you some flex for things that come up. And also, even when I plan my week,
mhm.
I plan my week more tightly at the beginning of the week. And then I
Mm.
call it front loading my week. And then as I get down to like Thursday, Friday, I have less planned activities I intend to
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
that if something flows, like let's say from Monday to Tuesday or Tuesday to Wednesday, I can handle a little overflow and still wrap up by Friday without having to work the weekend. But when I didn't used to do that before I was a time management coach,
Right.
I'd pack all 5 days super tight and then I'd always end up working Saturday morning, which is
Ah,
just like not
yeah.
fun.
I can see that.
So leave yourself with some margin every day and then leave like I would even consider like maybe Friday after 2 or Friday after 1 is like flex time to
Yeah.
say I'm not going to plan anything, but for the things that didn't quite get done, that's going to be my wrap up time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you guys, Elizabeth has given us so many great strategies, great nuggets, and I am just super excited that you guys have this information. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. This has been amazing. And you guys, if you do not have her book, Divine Time Management, you have to go get it. I have learned so much from this book. And as you can see, Elizabeth knows her stuff. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here, Elizabeth. I appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. It's been a delight and blessings on you all. I know that this has been a really stressful year in a lot of ways, and especially with you managing children through all this change, it's been a lot. So thank you for what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
so important, both you specifically, but then also everyone listening
yeah,
right now. Your work is so
it is
important.
so
It's
important.
so critical, and you're deeply appreciated.
Thank you so much for that, Elizabeth. So, okay, where can they reach you at? If they would
Yeah.
like to work with you,
Mhm.
where can they
Yeah.
contact you at?
Absolutely. So the best way to reach me is on my website, which is reallifee.com. So I'll spell that out for you. So it's
Okay.
REALLIFE and then another E as in Elizabeth.com that has information on coaching. I do one-on-one time management coaching, as well as my books. So if you'd like info on that or my newsletter, you can find that all there.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. If you are watching this over on YouTube, again, you guys, please, please, please give this video a thumbs up. Elizabeth has just got some great advice here on time management and just balancing out your work and life. Also, if you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. And you guys, I will see you guys next week in our next week's activities. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much, Elizabeth.
Of course, my pleasure.